Where? I'm missing something.
It's on the back. Pod notes, episode 4, take 1. Welcome to our podcast series, So You Want to Be a Psychologist. Last time we talked all about the doctorate and those early career steps, and today we're going to talk about being an assistant psychologist. Now these roles are really elusive and everyone wants to get them. They go up on NHS jobs and come down within 12 hours, and it's really stressful. Do you have any tips for any aspiring assistant psychologists on their application?
Yes, but before I give those tips, I just want to first let us appreciate that there are far more graduates than there are jobs. And most applicants will have, of course, a good degree. Some will have a master's. And you are such a bright and ambitious group. That saying, my advice is to be thoughtful when applying for jobs. Tailor your applications to the criteria. Please don't just email back generic answers. Apply early, as you said, because adverts close early due to the sheer number of applicants we receive. Show understanding of the service, its values, and use clear examples.
And do you have any specific tips for writing a CV? And do you think a cover letter is necessary?
I think a cover letter is a really good idea, summarising why you want to apply, what do you bring. And in terms of a CV, can I suggest a structure? Is that all right, Zara? Well, for me, start with your contact details, then your education, include your grades, your A-levels, your psychology degrees with the classification, as we discussed earlier, the GPR status, relevant experience with dates, and other jobs you've done briefly, whether that's at Tesco's or W. Smith's or etc. Include hobbies or interests. And I would say keep your CVs 2 to 3 pages maximum. I would also say my final thought, and again, I'm going to take a bit of a deep breath saying this, is right now, as we film this, most applications are still sifted by people like me. So we score them carefully, as you know, Zara, and we look for any details that makes you stand out. In future, I suspect particularly large organisations, may use AI tools to shortlist. So it's really important to understand the keywords when either writing your application or your CV. And if you remember, we've got that grid that I've used all throughout my NHS and local authority, and as well as here in Affinity Plus to shortlist. We can put that on the screen so that people can use as a reference in terms of what type of keywords to use in your CV or your application form.
So if someone has been successful in getting their application through, they've been accepted for an interview, what should they expect from this interview and how should they prepare for it?
I would say, and this is just my view, but it has worked, so I would say call the department beforehand to help you prepare. Ask them questions about the service. Maybe go on the website, look at their service values, their ethos, etc. If you can, I'm not talking about stalking them, but if you can, go onto LinkedIn and find out about who the interviewers are, their research interests, their clinical interests. It just shows an engagement to both the panel and the service. When you're at the interviews, please dress professionally, but authentically. Answer the questions with specificity, please. At assistant psychologist level, you might be asked, why do you want to work in this service? And what do you bring, i.e. your skills, to the service? Please do notice that these are 2 very different questions. One is asking about why you want to apply to the service, and one is asking how you meet the criteria. I think a lot of people make that mistake of answering everything in one go. If you're asked to give a presentation, keep to the topic, please, the time limit, and keep in mind the service you're applying to when answering the question, not just your interests. And please smile and breathe. Good reminder for me as well. You might also be asked about a clinical dilemma, a case scenario, or to discuss a particular client that you've seen. Take a moment and think it through. Now, if you are asked to talk about, say, a case, structure your answer. And I would suggest, first of all, give us the presenting issues of the client, your assessment, your formulation, your treatment plan, the work that you did, the outcome measures you used, what worked, what didn't work, perhaps some overall reflections. You might want to bring in the therapeutic relationship. You might even want to discuss supervision, maybe a different model, therapeutic model you could have used. Always mention confidentiality and its limits and the importance of supervision. Nobody expects you to answer like a qualified clinician. We are looking at how you think through the answers. Other common questions you may be asked is how you work in teams, how do you manage disagreements, how you manage stress. You may be asked to talk about a piece of research or audit. Don't worry about it. Talk about your undergraduate research. Talk about your master's research. That's fine. You may be asked about your strengths, your areas of improvement. You also may be asked about how you use supervision, etc. And sometimes you may be asked something you're not at all expecting. That's all right. If that happens, please don't panic. Just do your best. At the end, you'll probably be asked if you have any questions for the panel. You don't have to, but have one or two up your sleeve because it shows engagement and it shows that you're interested in where you're applying.
Well, thank you. That's very useful. So at this stage, a lot of aspiring psychologists face quite a lot of rejections. It's very common to get rejected quite a few times before you get onto an assistant psychologist role.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on how to deal with that rejection?
I think it's tough. I think rejection is tough for anybody. And sometimes you'll miss out by a few marks. I've been in that situation. Services receive so many applicants, so being shortlisted for an interview is an achievement in itself. My advice is acknowledge your feelings, Zara. Reframe how you see the experience. Adjust your expectations. Seek support if you need it. Look after yourself, please. It's a tough process. Find healthy distractions if you need them. That way you can keep your perspective and your balance. And when you're ready, seek out those mentors and supervisors. Perhaps go through those questions, learn how you could answer them differently, and take it from there.
So I guess you're saying every moment of rejection is also a moment for growth and for reshaping and redirecting. Yeah.
Well, I think it's about developing that balanced awareness and being proactive to feel safe when things are uncertain. There's a person called Barry Mason who's a systemic therapist who wrote a brilliant paper back in the 90s, which was aimed for the clinical context, but it can be used in any sort of kind of environment, a difficult situation. And he talks about us going towards that position of safe uncertainty. The idea is instead of insisting on rigid certainty, you learn to handle disappointment and with a blend of expertise and open-mindedness.
Well, thank you for that. So next time is going to be our final episode in this series, and I'm really excited for this one because we're going to be speaking about setting up Affinity Plus and how you did that and how you came to that decision. And we're also going to be asking some big questions about the future of psychology, which will be really, really interesting. So see you then.
Yeah.